You're listening to Moviesucktastic.
Sounds like some bad movie.
Moviesucktastic.
I bet you guys didn't know I could play a musical instrument. Haha. Welcome to the newest episode of Moviesucktastic. This is your co-host Scott, but I am currently a solo host. That's right. Young Joseph is not here today. He's raising a young'un of his own. Everybody please congratulate Sir Joseph on the new arrival to the Guida family, a bouncing 87-pound baby boy. Not that high, but he's a biggin. He's a biggin, and he's gonna be tearing through walls in about 4 months. So just you wait. I don't know how I suddenly became slightly southern, but I have a feeling it will pass shortly. This is Scott, as I mentioned before, and we are doing a solo episode. This is gonna be a short one because there's no Joey, and when there's no Joey, that means there's no production value. And there's a lot of things that aren't there when Joey's not there. I'm on my second glass of brandy now, so I'm a little bit to the wind. Hang on a second. Oh, that's some good brandy. So I'm drunk down on this episode, and thank you very much. And we're going to be covering not too much today. It's going to be a short episode of Moviesucktastic. I know this is a sad Moviesucktastic episode. I'm sorry, folks. Joey's not around, and without his joyful, barrel-chested laughing, it's just kind of hard to keep a straight face at all this. Plus, I recently went back and watched Atlas Shrugged. And if anything is going to suck the joy of movie-going out of your chest like a knife wound, it's going to be Atlas Shrugged. It's bad enough I read the fucking book, but now I have to watch the movie. And for anybody who has watched the movie and has not read the book, yeah, it's just that stupid. There's really nothing to say there. There's really, a lot's cut out. They have to cut a lot out. But what they're cutting out is 14-page monologues by the characters. And let's be very specific about this. The movie is somewhat faithful to the book as far as words on page to screen. This is a detriment to any film goer because Ayn Rand is not a famous author because she was a good writer. She's a famous author because she wrote philosophical novels with philosophical treatises that people, for some reason, believed in. It's called objectivism. And the basis of the philosophical belief is that human emotion is bad, there is no God, people should worship greed and the dollar, and that people should only be allowed to obtain what they can earn, and that there is no room for any kind of social welfare or help or assistance, and all that is based on human emotions, which are faulty and not as true and morally benevolent as pure greed and the occasional soft porn S&M rape scene, pseudo-rape fantasy scene. That's basically what comes down to in any of Ayn Rand's writings. And this fear of the society, of government or of society smothering the genius and abilities of the individual by demanding that the individual does not perform. The poor woman escaped Bolshevik Russia or wherever the fuck she was from. She escaped just hard communist regimes, and she went a little crazy because of it and reverted to the far right of that philosophy. And a lot of people that are pro greed and anti human empathy and wanted a reason to be against social programs like welfare or unemployment or work programs. Anybody who wanted to not feel guilty about not wanting to help people in need found a great little support group called the Ayn Rand fanatics, or Randroids, as they are affectionately known as. This is why people in the Republican Party, like Paul Ryan, embrace her as much as they can until people start noticing what she stands for, and then has to say, "Oh well, I just liked her because of her stories, not because of her philosophical belief," even though I said that I based my philosophical views on her. So if you're watching Atlas Shrugged and you've never read the book, this means that you were smart enough not to read the book. And Atlas Shrugged is basically the story of young Dagny Taggart, who is the female in a business. It's a railroad company, and it's being destroyed by the government. And greedy people who are unsuccessful business people, so they look towards the philosophy of no one being allowed to succeed more than anybody else, communism or socialism, and that's tearing apart all these industries, and the whole country's falling apart because the government's stifling productivity and creativity through regulation. This is a Republican wet dream of a philosophical propaganda film. And going back to what I said before, she's not well known for writing good prose. And the prose she did write was science fiction, with the exception of The Fountainhead. But her famous works such as We the Living, I think it was called. I keep getting that mixed up with something else, but I'm pretty sure it's We the Living. Atlas Shrugged. They're science fiction. And when you're writing about a cause, usually it's better when it's in a framework of a real occurrence. I like to draw examples between Atlas Shrugged and, ironically enough, The Grapes of Wrath. And I think you have to point out that Grapes of Wrath, written by John Steinbeck, about the evils of corporations, actually pro-government to the extent that it tries to help out in New Deal type ideals, the evils of corporate oppression and the exploitation of workers during recession and during downtimes. And it's based in a real time, during a real event that happened, and is crushingly dreadful as far as what the human stories it portrays of what actually happened to people and what was actually done to people and allowed to happen to people, and is written in a serious tone, but about a real thing. And he strives to create real characters to display this. Then you have Atlas Shrugged, where in order to espouse her ideals, she creates a fictional world with a science fiction angle to it, creates all of the strife and all of the negative forces that are coming down upon her heroes, upon her idealistic characters. It has to create bizarre, extreme examples instead of the real ones that are in Grapes of Wrath, and uses these to exemplify her philosophy by saying, see, here's what happens to individuals who believe and who strive, and it's the poor, rich owners of industry, robber barons, we would call them now, who are being victimized by the poor and the government that tries to regulate them. And the only way that argument makes any fucking sense to a rational human being is by creating a fictional, science-fictional world around it in which such extreme measures are being taken against these people, and these people are pure and ideal and only want one thing, and they're being victimized. You have to create a fake world for this kind of victimization to actually exist. And here's the upshot, folks. Watching it in a movie, it's even more ludicrous than it sounds. Watching it in a movie, you really have to ask yourself, and okay, why are these the good guys? And they're okay, but it's like watching any kind of real propaganda, and that's what it is, propaganda. Because the only way propaganda, in a simpler form, because technically anything that espouses a view is propaganda because it's trying to form a view. Real propaganda lies. And real propaganda tries to sell you a false reality by twisting reality to fit the philosophy or the message. And Atlas Shrugged is pure propaganda because it takes a real world occurrence, rich, wealthy, conglomerate, monopoly, robber baron, CEO, business owner, tycoons, and then creates this fictional world where they are idealistically pure, not corrupt, don't cheat, don't steal, believe in the purest values only because that's how they got there. Yeah. And that it's the poor people who expect them to give their money to them for free, and the government that expects them to let them, that everybody's basically stealing from these poor people who have created everything purely from the sweat of their brow and their intellect and their moral judgment. And anybody with any experience in the real world knows this is a crock of shit. And watching it on the big screen, and it's the third time and final time I'll approach this subject, her writing, since it is not valued for its writing but for its, she's a competent writer, but when it comes to dialogue, and here in the world of cinema, dialogue is king. Dialogue makes and breaks a film. Dialogue either conveys realism or conveys schlock, ham-fisted attempts at conveying information through speaking. Ayn Rand is the head prom queen of exposition and diatribe. She does not write dialogue. She writes monologues that just happen to be occurring between two people. She writes diatribes. She writes speeches. And not in a Good Network kind of way or Michael Clayton kind of way. This isn't a bad Atlas Shrugged kind of way where every time someone speaks, what's coming out of their mouth is either the basic synopsis of her philosophy or the exact opposite of it, just to show contrast to why she believes what she believes, why you should believe that. So, apart from the fact that it's a weird alternate reality where just because gasoline got expensive, trains are now the main mode of transportation. Folks, there's more train action in this film than Runaway Train. Unfortunately, there's also there's a fraction of the action in this as Runaway Train. So what you're stuck with is basically industrial film footage, vast amounts of industrial film footage of railways being created, trains skimming across the highway. There's this whole beautiful scene where they run the Taggart line on the Rearden Metal. Don't even get me started on the fucking Rearden Metal. And it's supposed to be a really triumphant scene. And if you watch Cool Runnings, when the Jamaicans wipe out and have to carry their bobsled over the finish line to finish last, there is more excitement and joy and cinematic hopefulness in that scene than there is in the entire train sequence in Atlas Shrugged, because you're not buying it and no one's buying it for a minute. It's just a big train going fast. Ironically, the Republican Party, who embrace Atlas Shrugged as their Bible, are constantly against expansion of light rail trains throughout the country, but that's kind of encroaching more in political discussion. It's a horrible film, folks. I advise you strongly to watch Atlas Shrugged, because if you want to know why films are bad, it's the writing. Atlas Shrugged was never a good book. It's a good propaganda piece for young kids who are just amazed to find something that actually espouses some sort of philosophy other than your usual good versus evil bullshit, and intellectually dishonest right-wingers who think they've found something that espouses their views, as long as they can ignore the fact that it's a godless universe that Ayn Rand lives in. Things to watch for in Atlas Shrugged is the fact that whenever a film is made that takes place in the future, the minute they start showing 50 styles as well, very bad sign, red flag. And as I've seen a lot of other reviews mention, this is a film that's supposed to showcase opulence and wealth, and it does so on such a small budget that it's kind of obvious that they couldn't afford to show actual opulence and wealth. And there's some CGI train shots that are very reminiscent of Birdemic's hovering birds, so keep an eye out for that as well. Other than that, that's my drunk capsule review of Atlas Shrugged. If you've never read the book, I do recommend purchasing it. Finding the person who recommended the book to you, and beating them with it. It's like 1,200 pages. You can do some damage with that. Aim right for the head first. Get them down, and then work the pelvis, work the body, work the ribs. But get that first headshot in, otherwise they'll just scamper off. But please check out Moviesucktastic.com. Check us out on iTunes. Go to YouTube, you can find us there. Go to Facebook, Moviesucktastic. Check us out, like us, share some shit. Let us know what you've seen. Call the number. It's I don't know the number off the top of my head. It's on Moviesucktastic. Call the hotline. Leave a message. We'll play it on the show. And just remember, just good or bad, just watch some movies. Just broaden your horizons. Don't watch the same fucking thing 20 times over, 30 times over. Stop quoting Office Space. Stop watching the same shit you watched in '87 because it was funny then. They've made more shit since then. They've made better stuff. They've made funnier stuff. They've made deeper stuff. They've made smarter stuff. Fucking watch it. Watch something you wouldn't normally watch. Watch a Bergman film. Watch a silent movie. Watch a romantic comedy if you're not into those. Go to Netflix and just pick a random film. Pick something that people recommended you see. Like a friend told you to see, and you're like, yeah, that's not for me. Fucking watch it anyway. Stop focusing your life just on the shit you know. Stray from the comfort zone. Experience something new, even if it's Superman 2, the Donner cut. Just fucking watch an earnest film and see why everybody keeps bitching about them. Maybe you'll actually laugh. Just fucking break the mold, dig in, and experience some new movies. Because there's so many fucking films out there. There's no excuse to not watch something at random just to get a new view on what you can experience or get out of a film. Fucking walk the stride. But whatever you do, just make sure it's not a fucking Kevin James film. Fuck that guy. Next to Jack Black, just... That's all I have to say about that. Joey, put a cap on this and post it out there. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.